Okay, I will call the meeting to order. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, EL Chapter 38, Section 18, and Governor Healy's March 29, 2023 revised order extending remote participation by all members in any meeting of a public body. This meeting of the Select Board will be conducted both in person and via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information, general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and our parties with a right and a requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website. For this meeting, members of the public and committee members may attend the meeting in person, or for those who wish to do so remotely. For those who are not in person, every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. Pursuant to MGL 7C 30A, Section 20F, after notifying the chair of a public body, any person may make a video or audio recording of an open session of a meeting of a public body, may transmit the meeting through any medium. Beginning of the meeting, the chair shall inform other attendees of any such recordings. These meetings are being recorded by the Berkshire Eagle, the Berkshire Edge, the town of Great Barrington, and I would give other members of the public permission. Any member of the public wishing to speak at the meeting must receive permission of the chair. The listing of agenda items are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. All members of the select board are here in person, so we do not need roll call votes except for the special permit. Approval of minutes we have in our. We were sent September 18th, 2023, October 2nd, 2023. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the minutes of September 18th and October 2nd of 2023.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Select board's announcements and statements. Ben.
Nothing for me.
Perfect.
I just wanted to say I appreciate the town getting behind the library grounds and leaving it as is and allowing the statue to be. I'm kind of proud to be a member of this town. I think they did the right thing.
Yeah, just driving around through town a lot recently and just impressed and excited for the amount of DPU projects and everything that we have going on. I mean, might take you a little bit longer to get through town, but it's exciting to see a lot of these sidewalks, trip hazards, crosswalk improvements and everything getting sorted out. And just wanted to say thank you to the DPU and everybody involved for it's a large list that they're trying to accomplish, and good to see it all getting done.
Speaking for the Lake Mansfield Improvement Task Force, we're going to be meeting the week of November 13th or 14th. A contractor has been approved, and we are looking to begin actual work on Lake Mansfield Road as early as Monday, November 6th. Most likely it will involve tree removal for the parking lot. And also beginning approximately November 6th, the entire work area will be closed to motor vehicles, except those that need access to the private residence on the road, and appropriate signage will be installed. There will be no through traffic except for emergency vehicles and those properties. And we expect to have that done by the summer of 2024. Also, wearing my CPA hat, we have step one applications are due November 3rd, and the CPC has a meeting on November 7th to discuss those. And the step two applications are due December 1st, and we'll have a meeting to discuss those on December 5th.
Okay. Just one thing, on Saturday, there were two events in town, one at the Water Street Cemetery and one outside the town hall, Elizabeth Freeman Way. Both wonderful events, well attended, and the press was there, so I'm hoping that there will be coverage of it and people can read about it, but it makes you proud to live in this town with events like that, so it was wonderful.
We have a few updates to share tonight, starting off with the town waterworks. We received our notice to proceed from DEP last week for the $250,000 Houston waterwork funding, so you'll see a press release and a one-page application posted very shortly. We're seeking 2 to 3 volunteers or senior workers to assist us with the application review process. So anyone interested can reach out to my office. And just a reminder that we'll be meeting in executive session with our attorney again on November 6th at our next regular session. Trick or treat hours. I just wanted to take this opportunity to remind everyone that trick or treating will take place tomorrow night from 5:30 to 7:30. Just leave your light on if you're participating. And Jean and Carly are here from Berkshire Bus to present a season recap. So we're going to go ahead and share the screen. Chris, can you put that up on the screen? So we can just yeah, that's the slide. Come on, right. Yeah, from right. Yeah. One way.
Am I close enough to the microphone here? Am I coming through okay? Great. Good evening, you guys. My name is Carly Scalforo. I'm the general manager of Berkshire Bus. Gina is the festival's founder, and we've just prepared a little bit of a season recap for you in case you weren't downtown in Great Barrington this summer. Just want to hear some more of our findings. So next slide, please. So if you're unfamiliar with the festival in general, we're a music and street performing arts festival. We have everyone from musicians of all different kinds of genres to dancers, jugglers, magicians, basically anyone who comes to us and says that they have an act that they think could potentially work for the street. We generally try our best to give them a chance, and they perform for a stipend from us, but also from tips from people who attend our festival. Generally, the programming lasts for 10 weekends from the July 4th weekend to Labor Day on Friday and Saturday nights throughout downtown Great Barrington. And then we also had some additional Saturday performances in the mornings at the Great Barrington Farmers Market, as well as in front of Robbins Candy and at a satellite stage in front of Berkshire Mountain Distillers in Sheffield. And we just included some photos that we snapped this year to kind of show what we've been up to. We were able to do some new collaborations this year. This is from a dance night that we did in partnership with Jacob's Pillow. So this is a group from Pittsfield, and then we also hosted a Jacob's Pillow on the road performance for free in downtown. This is a group called the Hotties, and behind them you can see the arts market that we put on every Saturday night with the road closure, where we had different local artisans and local organizations come and set up booths for people to kind of peruse while they were exploring the different acts. We have performers of all different kinds here. You see some students in the upper right corner. We have people who are performing in front of an audience for the first time, and then you have folks like these other musicians here that, you know, make a living out of traveling to different places around the Northeast, if not the country or the world. These are some other photos from our dance night. Those are some Jacob's Pillow performers on the left there. This is one of our fantastic acrobats called Kate Great. We pull in a lot of groups from Faneuil Hall in Boston as well, people who do real circus type performing. And this is the last one here. This is a fire dancer by the name of Opal Raven that we had in partnership with our first Pride Night with Berkshire Pride. So the general goals of Berkshire Bus can be kind of summarized into 3 different components. One, making it a family-friendly community space. We saw, you know, more young families come with their kids than ever, which is really exciting for us. Being a free festival to attend downtown, we really wanted to make it a friendly place for people who live in Great Barrington to come and communicate with each other and find some entertainment. We also, with driving people downtown, hope to encourage people to patronize their local businesses and check out other organizations downtown. And we were able to not only come up with over 100 different paid opportunities for some local artists, but employ 7 production staff members over the course of the summer. As you all well know, this is not possible without the support of the town of Great Barrington, the cultural district, and it's also not possible without the funding that we receive from grants and, more importantly, local businesses and philanthropic individuals who care about downtown Great Barrington. And you can see a list of everyone who supported our festival this summer here. And just to give you a better sense of who comes and performs at Berkshire Busk, we had over 100 different performer groups come this year, made up of about 300 or so performers. A lot of them come from, an hour's drive distance. They're local favorites that you can see perform at a lot of different venues around town, but we also get people who make a career out of traveling to different busking festivals in Canada, in the US, in Italy. The performer on the right here is one of those that performs, I believe, in Ontario a lot as well. And besides trying to reach people downtown, we try our best to put all of the fun out on the internet for people to see when they're not able to come downtown. So you can see just some of our digital reach here. We had over 9,000 organic impressions on Instagram and 12,000 on Facebook just in the months that the festival was running. We also put all our performers, sponsors, people who are involved on our website, which reached over 9,000 people this season, and we've been steadily growing a newsletter that reaches over 600 people. You want to take a look at that?
Okay. I'll also do a shout out to the fire department and the police department and the DPW for helping us do a lot of things every single week. One of the things we wanted to try to do was to in some way give you some data about what impact did the festival have on the town in terms of the objectives that we laid out. So we did a bunch of surveys. In fact, we did almost 400 surveys, stopping people on the street and asking them to fill out a survey with a clipboard. And so we did this in partnership with Simon's Rock. We analyzed a bunch of the data. I also got some data through collaborating data with SoCo, because they get a lot of transactions. And so we were able to coordinate data to give you this report. So let's go to the next slide. The headline here is that through Hooker by Truck, we believe that over the 6 p.m. to 11 o'clock p.m. timeframe on Fridays and Saturday nights, there are approximately 28,000 people over the course of the summer that came through downtown. Whether they came on their own for dinner or because they heard of the festival, that's the general overall, that's approximately the number that seems like who was downtown. Then if you go to the next slide, what we asked is, why did you come downtown? And we found out that almost 40% said that they specifically came because they heard about Berkshire Busk and they decided to come. Others were just sort of, they came or they were gonna have dinner anyway. So we sort of 10,000 people, if you will, came as a result of hearing about Berkshire Busk. We found sort of every age, right? If you could see the pie chart on the left, 13% up under 25, 17% 25 to 40, and 13% over 70. So it's a wide variety of people. I can't say any one particular age group. The male-female split is mostly because I think a lot of moms filled out our survey. So we reached all ages. Then if you turn to the next slide, when we ask people where they're from, turns out that we reach both tourists and locals. So about 40% of the people that filled out the form said that they were from Massachusetts, and the rest were from those states. And we know, for instance, the New York number is not sort of over the border in New York, it's Brooklyn and Manhattan. And so in a way, I don't know if we've ever had this data, but this gives you kind of a snapshot of what happens to this town over the summer. What is the mix? If you did this survey right now, we get 99% Great Barrington or local. But in the summer, this is kind of the mix of people that come to Great Barrington. So then if you go to the next slide, I asked the folks that are from Massachusetts, like, where are you from? And it turns out that almost half are Great Barrington, but then we pulled from all the other counties almost in equal numbers here. So we're not only drawing our own people, but we're getting people from neighboring communities. So we asked folks, are you having a good time? On a scale of 1 to 5, 98% said either 4 or 5. Did you enjoy the festival? Which is, we like to know that. We also did a survey of our buskers, and we wrote to them and said, how'd you like it, et cetera, and a few of them complained about the food or whatever, but we asked, would you like to perform again? And 100% of the performers that filled out our survey said they want to come back. So we made a lot of people happy. If you go to the next slide, this is the bigger one for this meeting, is on a scale of 1 to 5, how much has Berkshire Bus contributed to the degree positively for your opinion about the town? 84% said very and 7% said somewhat. So what we're doing here is essentially creating a better reputation for the town of Great Barrington in a big way. Like in a big way, people see this festival like, oh, this town is really rocking. So that data kind of shows that. Now, we also, and I'll just pull a couple of quotes. We got quotes people love to write. But you know, the one that I love the best is the third one that says, we usually avoid GP, but this has got us coming back every year. So now there's a reason to come downtown. And I will say a lot of parents said, especially with young kids, like, what do I do with my kids on a Saturday night? They come downtown, they've got chalk, they go get ice cream, they run around. It's just a really nice community feel. Now, in addition to being all about fun, the festivals also turns out to be a bit of an economic engine. And so we asked folks, if you're coming downtown, were you planning to spend any money? Well, it turns out that 90% said yes. Half of them said they were spending money on dining, planning to spend money for dining only, and another 37% said both dining and shopping. So basically, people are expecting to come downtown to spend money. And we asked them, go to the next slide, well, about how much are you planning to spend or have you already spent? Half of them said over $50, but on average, about $71. So 90% of the people that came downtown said, hey, I'm about to spend some money. I think it's about $75 or $71. So when you coordinate that with the 10,000 people that came as a result of Berkshire Bus, we sort of lay claim to generating around $700,000 of incremental economic impact. And if you go to the last slide here, it said, you know, what we realize is that for every dollar that got invested, and by invested, I mean donated, for every dollar that got donated, we returned about $7 back to the town. So this is not only a fun festival, but it's also a nice economic engine. And look, and you go to the last slide, it's just our thank you slide. But I want to say that, look, this select board has now for 3 years allowed us to piggyback on the town's decision to allocate space for outdoor dining and for community activity. There are some in our community that think that the town should not be doing that because this is a town that should have places for parking and should have places for shopping. But we as a group decided, let's allocate some of our public space for doing something different. And so we're here to make the case that there's a payoff, in terms of our brand. There's a payoff in terms of economics. There's a payoff in terms of community support. So we just want to thank you for that. We're planning to do the festival again. Of course, anybody that's listening wants to donate. We're happy to have your donations. If you know anyone that wants to be a sponsor, we're hard at work. We as you know, all of our buskers are ready to come back, and we're soliciting for new ones. I also brought I don't know if this is allowed, but I brought a signed copy. I mean, a framed copy for the town's. You know, put it in your office or up on the wall. So thanks. If there's any questions, we're happy to answer.
Go ahead.
So I'm a huge fan and thank you so much. I mean, you guys are just, you know, it's such a blessing and we're so grateful. Personally, I'm so grateful that you have provided this entertainment and ability for everyone to get together. It's nice to see the range in ages too, because as a mother, although all my kids are out of the house now, there's always, you know, a hope for families to have something to do with their kids in the summer, and this is great. So I wish they were still small. So I'm just curious, have you gotten feedback from the businesses that are, you know, getting the money? I mean, we hear that all this money, do people actually say thank you, or do they say, wow, you know, the profit I'm making this summer is huge? Or I mean, I know this is all surveys, but does anyone actually come up to you and not that they're going to explain how much they're making, but do you get a feel that it's actually translating into the actual businesses?
I'll jump in and say the people that we talk to the most are the restaurants because they're filled. And Mark knows this very well. Like the restaurants they'd love the road closure to be closed earlier. And they love this, and they love the fact that what we do is bring more people downtown. So we interact mostly with the restaurants, and of course, SoCo is a prime beneficiary. Some of the stores stay open, very few of them are able to stay open, they tell us, because there's real issues around getting workers to stay late, to open the store late at night. Like, we understand the shortage of staffing downtown. I would love it for stores to be open later. But those that are, I mean, we had the new store whose name I can't remember, that they had lithographs and they were making t-shirts, and the folks at the yoga place did some outdoor yoga. So anyway, we get anecdotal, but the most interaction we get are from the restaurants.
Yeah, I would just like to add that the restaurants have supported us enough to actually donate back to the festival. We ran a raffle this past summer that raffled off a package of a number of different restaurant coupons or gift cards downtown, from number 10 Grill to a couple of the ramen places, not even just the ones on Railroad Street. So we at least know they like us enough to contribute towards our fundraising to come back again.
Yeah, I thank you as well. I didn't get a chance to make it to all of them, but the few I did make it to, it's extremely fun. And it's when growing up, we used to have Summerfest here during the summers, and I just remember how great it would be. Like, and now we have something very similar every weekend. So I thank you for that. The questions I would have is obviously we're pitching this, or you're slightly pitching this for next year, and how do you think you could get other stores to be more engaged in it? And I know, obviously, like you just said, employment's an issue, but I mean, after seeing these numbers and the pictures, and I'm always amazed as I'm walking up the street how many people are packed onto that street. There still seems to be a disconnect at times that people think it's a deterrent, which honestly I'm confused by, because if you have that many customers out front, but I guess I'm just wondering how you've engaged with them, and then just onto that, like, what other tweaks or lessons did you learn this year that you might implement next year?
Sure. The first one is, I think, we're always open to partnering with the chamber. And the chamber did some surveying itself this summer, and I know Betsy's talked to some of the stores themselves. So I think the best way for us to engage with the retail group is through the chamber, and we're always open to having that discussion and doing whatever we can. We've had all sorts of wacky ideas of scavenger hunts, and if you go to 3 stores and you get a stamp, you get a prize. Like, we're open to all of that stuff. So I think, but you've got a chamber that's job is to support the retailers, and we're happy to partner with them. I would say on the tweaks for next year, the number one tweak, and we kind of alluded to it earlier, is we didn't know when we started who was this festival going to be best for. It's good for everybody, but who's it really best for? And I think that we determined that it's really best for families with young kids. We mentioned this. And you see that on the street. You've got, and I'm saying kids up to like even teenagers, but in particular, the sort of 5-year-olds. And so the tweak we're going to make is to try to really emphasize in both our programming and our marketing and our outreach that, hey, this is a family event. Bring your family downtown. Come. We're looking into a bouncy house, we're looking into doing stuff, sort of emphasizing, leaning in on the family side. That I think the festival, like what we've got, works. We'd like better signage, like little stuff like that. But I think it's in the marketing we want to kind of emphasize the family nature. I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just agree with Jean, and this is only our 3rd year of doing it. We still have plenty to learn about ways that we can improve it and make it run more smoothly for everybody going forward. And that's a big reason why we do the surveying that we do, so that we can hear in from people who are actually attending the festival. We hear from performers what their experience is like, and any other avenues that we can find to get feedback from people we're open to and want to incorporate those ideas.
Just one other question, please. The market portion, how is that doing? Because and where are they coming from? Are they local, downtown Or are they coming from far?
Yeah, so
or
we
how are
partnered
they-
with Liam Gorman, who actually does a lot of this kind of marketplace stuff. He lives up in Pittsfield. I don't have an answer to where do they all live, except that I know they're all sort of local, right? They're all within a half an hour. The two things I can say about the market is that are anecdotal. They love the fact that there's lots of people around. The number of, first of all, they all sell stuff. Some sell more than others. But I make it a point every weekend to go chat with them. And I'm like, are you glad to be here? And they're like, we love being here. It's so fun to be with people. And they like sort of them being seen and being part of it. So I think it adds a lot to the festival, but I also think that they enjoy being out, and a lot of them say, you know, we offer any downtown Great Barrington store can have a booth, or nonprofit can have a booth for free. There's no charge.
Yeah. that was my question.
And so, but even the ones who pay say, oh my God, this is less expensive than other festivals and there's more people. So they seem to be pretty happy.
Yeah, that's why I was kind of alluding to, or I was going to get to, you know, to have, let's say, the Rotary or, you know, the schools or, you know, something that, you know, there's so many people in the street, and then what an opportunity for them to do little fundraisers, or is that open it up to just?
The high school
Okay.
was raising money all summer for
Yeah.
their trip.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Monument
so
Mountain, I think
so
it
that.
was the girls' soccer team
Yeah.
did many a bake sale.
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
This
so
past summer, yeah.
I just have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just a few businesses, I guess that you alluded to that were maybe inconvenienced. Do you have any plan to make it less so for them maybe in the future, or,
I think.
or to
I
engage
think-
them so they'll open them or whatever?
Listen, I think I want to make a distinction that the select board decides to do a road closure. You know, we lobbied you to give us an extra half an hour, but the road closure is to allow for a community event and for outdoor dining. The reality is that we have spoken with some of the stores that seem to feel like the lack of parking at 5:30 affects their business. I don't know, other than an open dialogue, what solution to offer, except to say, please try it, stay open later. Like, see, you know, the stores I think could be encouraged, is where the chamber could come in, is if the chamber could encourage the stores to stay open, even 1 or 2 nights over the summer, maybe the July 4th weekend, maybe the Labor Day. Because I think a lot of store owners actually just go home and they don't see what's happening on the street. And so we want to, I think, so Garfield, I think the answer is more dialogue, more collaboration with the chamber is probably the best answer.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Sorry, just one quick. I know you touched on it briefly, but could you talk a little bit about the day type programming that you're doing outside of kind of the main block? I know you're at the farmer's market, and I'm just curious how that's going, and if you have any plans to kind of expand outside of the hours. And
So Robin funds us to put, you know, a clown or a bubble or a face painting or something that creates activity on the street. We do something at Berkshire Mountain Distillers down the street, and at the farmers. We'd be open to other things, that we have to, part, not to get into too many details, the sun gets pretty hot. So we have to find locations that are not in the direct sunlight. But anyway, any ideas? In fact, one of the things, speaking to you specifically about the triplex, is like, could we do some things on your patio? You know, so
we'll talk.
we'll talk, yeah. So we're sort of open to it. We tried 2 years ago to have a full slate on Saturday afternoon, and that didn't really take. So we have to be sort of judicious about how we do it. But we're, you know, as Carly said, we're.
Yeah, if we get approached with a need and we think that it could be a good opportunity for some different local musicians around town, then we're always happy to try to find ways to make that work.
Eileen, you had your hand up, go ahead. Just unmute yourself, Kim.
I didn't mean to put my hand up, I'm sorry.
No problem.
Actually, it's lower. It
Yes,
was,
it is. Just lower that. Thanks. Anyone else? If not, just go to the podium, state your name.
Oh, I just had I'm Mickey Mackey. I just had a small comment that the bouncing house sounds like a wonderful idea. I probably won't be able to bring my kid back home though, but we're really looking forward to that.
Anybody knows a bouncy house vendor, let me know, please.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Always enjoy this.
Thank you.
Bring us back to reality.
I have a very brief short-term rental update to share with you this evening, and that's that we have about 100 properties currently registered with the town. Our staff team met last week and will be meeting early next week with the GovOS team to begin the process of issuing fines to any advertised short-term rental that continues to operate in violation of our bylaw. So what that means is that we'll begin issuing $100 fines very soon. But the statute does allow us to issue fines up to $300 per day, but we're gonna step into it slowly. So I just wanted to, I guess, wrap up by saying that we've done everything that we can do at this point to get folks to register voluntarily. So we unfortunately had to take the next step. And
Michelle,
that's
do you have a
all I
question?
have.
I just couldn't hear the beginning. I apologize, Mark.
I said that we currently have about 100 short-term rentals registered with the town.
Thank you.
And that, the number of short-term rentals advertising in town right now, it fluctuates every day, but it's in the range of about 120 to 150. So give you an idea how many remain unregistered at this time. And then Ally Crespo and Alicia Doolan, our financial coordinator and our treasurer collector, are here to take E and F on the agenda.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
We can.
Hi, it's Alicia. Oh, my video's off. I'm sorry. Hold on. Hi, how are you? So I am here tonight to ask for your approval on our most recent borrowing. So to start, a few weeks ago, about 2 weeks ago, we had a bond rating call with S&P Global Ratings. And they reaffirmed Great Barrington's AAA rating. So that was really good news. So on last Wednesday, the 25th, we had a bid for our $11,050,000 bond, which is for various capital projects around town, as well as sewer projects that include some equipment. And all have previously been approved at annual town meeting to be borrowed for. So we're ready to do these projects now. So we have went out to bid last week for the borrowing, and we received 10 bids with the lowest true interest cost, which is what we use to determine who we're going to award the bid to, going to UBS Financial Services, Inc. at 3.79%. I included a list of the various projects in your packet that you could look at, but it's quite a long list. So I'm just looking for your approval for us to award that bid to UBS Financial Services.
All you.
If you're watching, this is time to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, sorry, it's so long. I'm sorry.
You got that dinner.
I, the clerk of the Selectboard of Town of Great Barrington, Massachusetts, certify that at a meeting of the board held on October 30th, 2023, of which meeting all members of the board were duly notified and which a quorum was present, the following votes were unanimously passed, all of which appear upon the official record of the board in my custody. Voted that the sale of $11,050,000 general obligation municipal purpose loan of 2022 bond of the town dated November 16th, 2023 to UBS Financial Services at the price of $11,706,000 $1,594.61, and accrued interest, if any, is hereby approved and confirmed. The bond shall be payable on November 15th of the years, and the principal amounts and bear interest in the respective rates as stated. Further voted that the bonds maturing on November 15th, 2041 and November 15th, 2043 shall be subject to mandatory redemption or mature as follows. Term bond due November 15th, 2041. In the year 2040, the amount of $145,000. In the year of 2041, the amount of $140,000. Term bond due November 15th, 2043. In year 2042, the amount of $135,000. In the year of 2043, the amount of $135,000. Further voted that the maximum useful life of the departmental equipment listed below be financed with the proceeds of the bonds is hereby determined pursuant to GL Chapter 44, Section 7.1 to be as follows, or to be as listed. I should know those.
Yes.
Okay. Purpose: DPW loader, borrowing amount $235,000, maximum useful life 15 years. Purpose: backhoe, $145,450, maximum useful life 15 years. Sewer cleaner, borrowing amount $109,650, maximum useful life 10 years. Purpose: DPW excavator, borrowing amount $81,750, maximum useful life 15 years. Purpose: truck lift, borrowing amount $79,500, maximum useful life 20 years. Purpose: park equipment, borrowing amount $55,000, maximum useful life 20 years. Further voted that in connection with the marketing and sale of the bonds, the preparation and distribution of a notice of sale and preliminary official statement dated October 19th, 2023, and a final official statement dated October 25th, 2023, each in such form as may be approved by the town treasurer, be and hereby are ratified, confirmed, approved, and adopted. Further voted that the bonds shall be subject to redemption at the option of the town upon such terms and conditions as set forth in the official statement. Further voted that the town treasurer and the select board be and hereby are authorized to execute and deliver a continuing disclosure undertaking in compliance with SEC Rule 15C2-12 in such form as may be approved by bond counsel to the town, which undertaking shall be incorporated by reference in the bonds for the benefit of the holders of the bonds from time to time. Further voted that we authorize and direct the town treasurer to establish post-issuance federal tax compliance procedures and continuing disclosure procedures in such forms as the town treasurer and bond counsel deem sufficient, or if such procedures are currently in place, to review and update said procedures in order to monitor and maintain the tax exempt status of the bonds and to comply with relevant securities laws. Further voted that any certificates or documents relating to the bonds may be executed in several counterparts, each of which shall be regarded as an original and all of which shall constitute one of the same document. Delivery of an executed counterpart of a signature page to a document by electronic mail in a PDF file or by other electronic transmission shall be effective as delivery of a manually executed counterpart signature page to such document. Electronic signatures of any of the documents shall be deemed original signatures for the purposes of the documents and all matters relating thereto, having the same legal effect as original signatures. Further voted that each member of the select board, the town clerk, and the town treasurer be and hereby are authorized to take any and all such actions and execute and deliver such certificates, receipts, or any other documents as may be determined by them or any of them to be necessary or convenient to carry into effect that provisions of the foregoing votes. I further certify that the votes were taken at a meeting open to the public, that no vote was taken by secret ballot, that a notice stating the place, date, time, and agenda for the meeting, which agenda included the adoption of both votes, was filed with the town clerk, and a copy thereof posted in a manner conspicuously visible to the public at all hours in or on the municipal building that the office of the town clerk is located, or if applicable, in accordance with alternative method of notice prescribed or approved by the Attorney General as set forth in 940 CMR 29.032B, at least 48 hours, not including Saturdays, Sundays, and legal holidays, prior to the time of the meeting, and remain so posted at the time of the meeting. That no deliberations or decisions in connection with the sale of the bonds were taken in executive session, all in accordance with GL Chapter 30A, Section 18 through 25 as amended, dated October 13th, 2023. 30, excuse me. Dated October 30th, 2023, signed Clerk of the Selectboard.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you Lee, for reading that. Let me just go back to one thing before we move ahead. We should give a big thanks to our town staff, including Alicia, Ally, Mark, Chris, and if I leave anyone out, getting a AAA bond rating and continuing it is not a small feat. And we should all be very proud of that and thank our staff for all the work that they do. So,
Thank
you.
Excellent.
okay, moving ahead, you're all set? Perfect. License and permit, Ben, leave the room. Ben is recusing himself. What is your title then?
Managing director.
Managing Director of the Triplex Cinema. So, someone with a Triplex going on, so I knew they were, just say your name and address.
Steve Johnson, 284 Main Street, apartment 10. I'll be the operating manager for the theater.
Thank you. So we have a number, quite a number, so let's start with licenses and permits. Ben Elliott, but of the Triplex Inc. requesting an annual common victual license at 70 Railroad Street from Monday through to Sunday, 10 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. Do I have a motion? So moved.
Oh, so moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Only one, all in favor?
Aye.
And I'm gonna give you a chance at the end if you want to say anything about when you're gonna open, and if you want to say, I'll let you think about it.
I'm basically here to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, just, we always give people a chance to get a little free publicity, so. Why don't you make the motion on the next one, that way we won't be both reading the same one.
Sure. Ben, I make a motion that we approve the annual weekday entertainment license at 70 Railroad Street from Monday to Sunday at 10 a.m. to 11:59 p.m.
Second.
So a motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? Go right ahead.
I make a motion to approve the annual Sunday entertainment license at 70 Railroad Street, the Triplex, from Monday to Sunday, 10 a.m. to 11:59 p.m.
Do I have a
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous?
I make a motion that we approve the annual motion picture license at 70 Railroad Street, Great Barrington at the Triplex from Monday to Sunday, 10 a.m. to 11:59 p.m.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. And for the record, I think the Sunday one, Lee read it correctly. It should just say Sunday. It's not Monday through Sunday. It's a Sunday license. So just for the record.
Oh, yes. of course.
Do you have anything you want to add?
Nothing other than the fact that I'm really hoping that this project pulls through. Triplex has been, what the former owner used to call a heart space, Great Barrington. And it's really contributed a lot to the revitalization of downtown, I feel. I started with it in 2001. And with a year off up in Pittsfield, I watched it grow into something really quite special. Last couple of years, the pandemic and the perceived lack of quality of good movies coming out of Hollywood, sort of hoping that the independent and foreign market will sort of help carry us through and, revitalize interest in movies downtown. That, and we're gonna try and be a little more community oriented. We offered the Buska space a couple of years ago, rainouts. We have upstairs theater that allows for things like that from time to time. So we're looking forward to doing some more local community kind of events, screenings, Monument Mountain High School, I believe their kids are gonna try and put together a small film festival, and we'll be able to be the venue for them to watch it. And just be a little more involved in the community, try and just basically generate the interest we used to have and bring it back. It's gonna be a project, but we're looking forward to it.
We're looking forward to it. Go
I
ahead.
just have one question, Sister here.
Sure.
I'm getting a lot of questions on timeline and when's it gonna open, and can you give us a
Our
sense?
tentative
I know
date
you're
is
still
the 17th
fundraising.
of November.
Sorry?
17th of November, we're hoping
Oh,
to
really?
open at least two of the houses. The main house is a little behind, delays in shipping,
Oh, okay.
but that should be up by Christmas time. Don't quote me on that, but that's the hope. But the 17th of November, we will be opening with our two small theaters.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
As the man's voice on the television. When you call.
Brian, you can come back. Okay, David Long and Georgine Poliak, for driveway permit application 304 North Penn Road. A short explanation and introduce yourself and address, please.
Hi, Dave Long, 304 North Penn Road. The farm is basically growing, and a lot of the work we've been doing over a period of years is starting to pay off. And logistically, there are a lot of issues, particularly relative to the forestry that we've been doing. They're very diversified, permaculture oriented farms, so we don't have big fields. But we have little communities of things that sort of grow across the property. And the property is kind of its own little drainage, its own little watershed. And that water drains between where the house and the barn and the current driveways are. And then, you know, where historically there's been a landing for the forestry that my father used to use, it was there before we even moved in there in the 60s. And from time to time, it's been sort of let go. So when we were trying to revitalize it, I called up the building inspector, and Ed's basically saying, well, it sounds like you got a right to use it, but you know, if you want to just be above board, why don't you just apply for a permit and see if we can get access off the road? There's a couple of reasons why this is important. One is we're sort of moving into the second generation. I have a young person who's essentially part of our family who's really sort of taken on a lot of the farm and looking to carry it forward. As my wife and I are getting older. And my daughter has now decided, after years of ignoring the farm, that farming is great. And she's now a farm manager at a fairly large farm in Vermont, and is looking like she's gonna come down and take it. So sort of seeing through a lot of the things that Georgine and I had always planned to do, all of a sudden it's like, hurry up and get this stuff done. And this is one of those boxes. Because the water drains down in the middle, right, you know, right in that, right on the curve. You know, you can't really cross from the intensive farm area into the other parts of the property. The only way you can get there is to drive straight up the hill and all the way around. So for material handling and storage and getting trucks in and out, this is kind of a problem. And especially for things like wood chips or us getting the timber down from the forested sites, especially in the high quality pine, down and out, you know, getting it up the hill or all the way around and then down to the farm is extremely difficult. Also, the sight lines at the current driveways is terrible. There's about 200, a little less than 200 feet of sight of the northbound traffic coming out of the South Drive, which, you know, with cars going 50 miles an hour is almost nothing. Whereas where I'm proposing this, you know, to reuse the old access point, you have, you know, about 400 feet looking north to southbound traffic, and all the way down to Deer Trail looking south. So it's just a safer place to enter the property. I have sort of, I take exception with the comments from the DPW in that the wet area is down almost in front of our house. And I think they should be able to say that situation is improved. And there's been a lot of reasons why that area has been a sore spot. And it's come up periodically over the years as to why that's true. One was that the town, when they, well, it wasn't the town, I think it was the state, whoever rebuilt 41, they raised the road and then they breached the dam of the old farm pond, which used to keep a lot of that water contained. So now that water comes shooting down and spills out actually into our south yard and then comes around and goes in front of that wall along the way and collects there because they can't drain quickly enough to get into the drop in. Up where we're talking, it's actually a nice solid gravel. And when they went and looked at the site, it actually was raining. And they should have just driven their truck in and out of there because they would have noticed it was solid as a rock. Because it essentially is gravel. Now, it's lumpy and that's why I'm talking about bringing in the gravel, but I also was talking about bringing in gravel just to make sure that in fact, there wasn't mud coming off of that site going into the road, which is exactly what they're worried about. So, I mean, I share the concern. I don't want to have an impact on the neighborhood. I want to expand what we're doing. We work very diligently to reduce the amount of traffic going in and out of the park in general. Almost all of our sales are wholesale. So we don't have consumer traffic. You know, the retail stuff that we do that is essentially direct off the farm is actually being done at Sean's. But everything else is going to Taft's or burritos or restaurants or flour vendors. And somebody gets shipped out over the country. So it's not a lot of traffic. But when I have a load of lumber, like for example, the other day, I had 26-foot timbers that we cut for Dable New. So I'm really staying in the neighborhood and just driving around the bend. And I'm pulling out with a trailer on a truck with 200 feet, you know, so we have to actually have somebody watch the road just to get out of the driveway. Whereas this wouldn't be necessary at all if I could use the other access.
Great. So, just so everyone understands, what this permit is requesting is a third driveway, as David explained, which the select board can permit. The bylaws limit to 2 without select board approval of the third one. Plus, as he also pointed out, DPW has a negative recommendation for reasons that he's already explained. So do I have questions from the board?
I have a couple questions. Been driving around and you know, familiar with your place here. What would you say the distance is from your existing U-shaped driveway to the third location?
Well, it's not actually a U-shaped driveway. It's part of the reason why I don't get rid of one of my driveways.
Yeah.
Like the way they designed it years ago, one driveway goes on one side of the house out to the back, and the other one essentially services the barn, and it's difficult to get around.
Mhm.
It's probably 500 feet.
Yeah, it's a pretty significant
That's pretty
distance.
significant. I mean,
Yeah.
we're the largest landholder in that little section of the road.
Yeah,
We're not as big as Sean or anything.
yeah,
I mean, if you look at the tax map, I mean, we stick out like a sore thumb.
yeah. Because I just wanted to point that out because I would be hesitant for any third driveway on a single property unless we did have those sort of distances.
Yeah, it's
just
a little
to make
different than
that
our normal
clear.
request for a third, which is right next to the
Yeah.
other 2 you're right.
And then also, if you can elaborate a little more on when you were talking about discussing and bringing in gravel, so you.
Yeah, so currently, after all the, I mean, around the edges of the main landing area, you know, there's blown down trees, you know, so they uproot, create craters. And then, you know, when the loggers were using that access to get timber out of there, they basically pushed the stone wall out of the way, but left most of it there. They got it sort of flat. So you basically will come off the road now and you go down through the drainage, which isn't huge, because we're nearly at the top of the hill as it is, so it's not like a big drainage ditch. But then you go up and you go over those rocks, and then there's a hole. So what I wanted to do was just clean all that up nicely, you know, pull those rocks out of there, strip the topsoil right around the entrance away, so it can't get muddy, because it's not there anymore. And just a couple loads of processed gravel and just grade it all out smooth and let the place sort of grow back pretty wild. I'm not building a mansion that lands in the process of being put into chapter 61. It's not like we're building a house. It's not like, you know, I mean, it would be in chapter 61 if COVID hadn't started screwing up things in the assessment book. I mean, that's the way we're at.
Yeah. I guess just to, you know, as far as a standard driveway cut, curb cut, it, you know, the culverts and all that would have to be checked and cleared in the skirt. And so I guess one thing I've just been thinking in your letter, it says there's a lot of intermittent use and stuff, but it sounds like there's possibilities of it becoming more used, which is great, you know, but I just would want to make sure that what is done there is up to the standards of a normal curb cut.
Well, that's
And-
completely reasonable.
Yeah.
I think if you go out and you look and you see how close we are to the drain that catches, I mean, there's very little water at that place going by there. So the state or whoever it was who rebuilt the road practically didn't even put a ditch in. I mean, it's just basically the only reason there is a ditch is because the road, they built the road up. I don't know if you remember, but when we were kids, that road actually was banked in the wrong direction. I mean, it really was, it was banked to the outside of the corner, and every icy day, we had cars going off like every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Their solution was to haul in an incredible amount of fill and fill that whole thing and then bank it the right way so that people didn't slide off the road. Like I say, we're nearly at the top of the hill. I own the adjacent property, and right at that property is the next drain, and that's 70 feet, I guess, we're talking. So my feeling on this is that, you know, we did get busy, and the town had any, you know, requests that we upgrade this thing. I wouldn't necessarily have a problem with it. Just based on our anticipated use, given that there's a solid road bed that they built, and then I'm just making it more solid by adding gravel, just running right to that and not really changing the grade. I'm not sure it's necessary.
Anything else, sir?
Yeah, I do have a question.
Obviously,
I'm good for.
Yeah, go ahead,
thank
Rocco.
you.
I get, it says here that you have no intention of improving the driving surface. Now, just what you're talking about, is that what you're doing? Are you planning with that gravel? And I'm wondering why you don't plan on doing it. It probably would behoove you to do that. If there's since there's already an
Agriculture farm, so, you know, gravel seems like a great improvement. I'm sorry for being snarky, but I mean, it's actually true. I mean, our objective is to have everything on the farm as sort of natural as possible, and we just get in and out of there. We get a project, we get that done, we get out. There's another problem, that occasionally we use a lot of wood chips. Right now, they don't like coming in because it's hard to navigate through the farm with the bigger tree trucks. So it all goes to Sean's, and then we drive our truck down to Sean, load it. You know, it's not like they wouldn't give us some, it's just that they want to get in and out. So we want to be able to go in there and get those chips, because we're using them in the forest. It's not like it's really out of the way, or that we're coming back out onto the road in order to utilize the chips once they drop it off. I can just go straight up the hill to where we're doing the work that we're doing with that.
Didn't sound to me, maybe I missed it, but didn't sound like you were speaking about just the improvements that are needed for that road.
What I'm
That is
saying
under
is
issue.
that the ground is solid enough in the landing area. Right, that I'm not sure that you need any more than gravel to make it pretty solid. I mean, if you go to a typical yard doing this kind of work, it's typically just gravel. Maybe they'll use some airport mix sometimes. But, you know, only if they want to spend extra money. I mean, it is fairly solid. We have gravel, I mean, the whole North Plain has got gravel. And we're luckier than some parts of North Plain because we also have topsoil. And some parts of North Plain just have gravel.
Okay, you're saying all that, but it doesn't sound like to me that you're addressing that issue of the road. You're telling me it looks solid, but here's a report that's saying it's not. And you're not telling me that you're going to make it better.
I think the miscommunication is, I take exception with their character.
Yeah, I heard that in the beginning, yeah. But that doesn't help
Because
if the city says no.
It is very solid and gravelly in that area that we're talking about as having the access. North of there, where the drainage course is and where this dam was breached, I totally agree. It's a problem. Water builds up on that corner. We're nowhere near that problem. And I would like to do more on the farm to keep more runoff staying on the property and not being able to run down and collect in that corner. I mean, there are things that we do to actually improve that for the town. We do it for ourselves, but I mean, it benefits the town by allowing those water to down that area, but that has nothing to do with the place that we're talking about now.
So I guess, so if it does, I'm really referencing the DPW's, notice, and basically they say the easterly edge of Route 41, North Plain Road at this location is quite often wet. The applicant is proposing no improvements to the driving surface off the edge. This would equate to wet soils being tracked into the road. So my question is, if you know, it does become a problem, let's say you are granted this application, would we have an ability to come back and say, well, you should address this? Or could we put that into a permission? I'm just wondering if it does become a problem of, is that something?
We're willing to do what it takes.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure that we all understand the problems.
Yeah, I'm just relating, you know, again, I know we've been going over this, but
So
if
you
it does
wanted to
become
do
something.
I mean, I'm not gonna, you guys are gonna decide whatever you want anyways, but I'm certainly not gonna be opposed to testing out that theory.
Yeah, and I'm not suggesting we have to do this, but instead of voting against this tonight, it's also, we could do a site visit.
That would be helpful.
I don't,
because
because I don't
I
want
don't
to go
think I can
down
get an
without
answer.
people actually seeing, I don't know how much of a hurry you're in.
Well, I mean, I'd like to get this resolved, but everything takes time. I mean, I was out there today. I mean, I'm very, very confident you came out on a rainy day and you saw what I'm talking about. When I take you down to where the highway department is rightly concerned about, you'll see that there's no relation. The problem, that water that's collecting that corner is actually coming down to the main part of the farm and going around. So everywhere they breach down the south, they're going out on the lawn, coming back, and they're coming down the hill and out our other driveway. So that, you know, it seems to me the thing I can do to benefit the town is to intercept that water on the other side of the farm.
So why don't we do that? If you're okay with that, David? Sure. That instead of taking a chance, it may go, it may not. Let's at least be fair to you and do a site visit.
But just to circle back to my question though, but when I think we all been asking it, but you did say in the beginning that you are gonna bring in gravel and kind of improve and make it solid, like a little farther back, right? And level it all out.
Well, that was
That's
the start of the conversation while I was talking to Ed Mann.
Right.
If I go, because just by cleaning it up.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, people are like, are you building a house? Are you building a house? Like,
Understood.
no, I'm not building a house, really.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I start bringing in, you know, 10-wheelers, you know, even two 10-wheelers that start working over there, we're gonna notice just as fast. And that's like, you're right, they're gonna notice just as fast.
Yeah.
So why don't you just put it out of the way?
Right.
Plead your case to the select board. He thought there would be no problem with
Yeah.
the permit. And we would be done with it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm trying to do.
Right.
I mean, the problem doesn't appear to be the third driveway. We understand the distance. The problem is when we have to take seriously the DPW recommendation. Doesn't mean we have to accept it, but we have to at least do our due diligence, and I think a site visit would do that.
You'll see when you go out there that the whole area for landing is pitched away from the road and back, and then it goes over to that swampy area. And then if it actually stays in the swampy area, it actually, the overflow goes directly into the drain exactly where they want it to go. It's the water that backs over our southern, where we have all the dahlias and everything. That, when that floods, that goes out onto the road, and that causes a huge problem. And there are things we can do together to make that better, and it should, it's the problem.
I don't think we need a vote now to continue this. I think we can just continue it. So we will, either Chris or Mark will be in touch about setting up a site visit.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dave Walker for driveway permit application 33 Alford Road. Hand raised. Okay, your mic is open if you just want to say anything about this.
Yeah, one minor thing, you have 33 Alford listed, I think. On my description, I wrote just north of 33 Alford. We do not have an assigned street address yet, so I wasn't totally sure about what to put.
Okay, well, let's make sure the motion says slightly north of 33 Alford driveway. Anything else?
I assume you guys have the permit. We've gone through the Concom, put a driveway through wetlands. I submitted a site plan created by Foresight with a PDF answering a few of the DPW's questions. It'll be like gravel, yep, gravel crushed stone driveway sloping away from the road. There should not be any water runoff issues.
Anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I guess what was the recommendation from the fire department and
This application was approved by all.
all boards? I didn't see that in here.
Yeah, it's not on.
It's not, we have a file with all.
Okay.
approvals.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to grant the application for driveway permit to the location of slightly north of 33 Alford Drive.
Second.
Any discussion or questions? All in favor?
All right.
It's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Continuation from September 11th, 2023 special permit application for Michelle Mackey, DBA Midori's Garden LLC, 920 Main Street, Barrington, for a marijuana cultivation and manufacturing establishment in the industrial zone at 920 Main Street. The application is filed in accordance with section 3.1.4 C13, 7.18, and 10.4 of the zoning bylaw. We are now in the area of questions from the select board, but I think we just want some clarification of where you anticipate us going tonight.
Okay, I have a presentation that I prepared just 4 or 5 slides, because I don't believe we'll be able to make a decision on the permit today because the town is still in the process of finding the independent odor consultant that was voted on at the previous meeting. But since we have a public hearing and we can only have discussion at the public hearing, I wanted to raise a few questions about how that process is going to proceed.
Okay, and I'll be glad to answer those.
Okay, so you have the presentation?
Yeah, Chris has that.
And I emailed a copy of the presentation and the notes that I'm gonna read to you all just before this meeting.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I had a printer jam, so I didn't have enough physical copies for all of you. And I'm just gonna try to read as much off the script, so there's no like discrepancy. So yeah, I wanted to start, to go to the next slide. Okay, let's see. I thought maybe I sent the wrong copy. Okay, sorry. All right, so basically I wanted to give a quick recap for the public to catch up on what this permit is about. So my business, Midori's Garden, is seeking an outdoor cannabis cultivation and manufacturing permit. The cultivation permit is for up to tier 2, which means up to 10,000 square feet of grow space. Just to clarify, that is a very small cultivation space relative to other outdoor cultivations. Like, for example, tier 11 is 100,000 square feet of canopy, that's 10 times the size. And unlike other outdoor cultivations, this is solely a contained outdoor, so it will be in high tunnel. That means it's not open air, so it is contained. That allows us to mitigate odor. The property is my home address, 920 Main Street, where my family and I, my husband and I, and our kid and my mom live year round. We are starting a farm, and the goal is to create a sustainable farm by producing a high quality tincture and cannabis strain to make everything viable. There were questions last time about my motivation. So why do we want to do this? So it's really multifaceted. So we desire a family center, like work from home livelihood, so we can center our family, our kids and my mom, our elders in our household. Especially as the climate crisis intensifies, we want to set up and learn how to cultivate food and herbal medicine in a rapidly changing climate. We think that's valuable for our family, our child, as well as this contribution to our local community. Finally, like, I have narcolepsy, so it's really important to be able to create a disability-friendly workplace and run a business that is not at odds with the environment or fair labor practices. In my own career, I feel like I've had a hard time finding jobs that prioritize humanity over profit. And by the way, my name is Michelle Mackey. I go by Mickey. My formal education is in business. My undergraduate degree from Ohio State was in accounting. I couldn't be a CPA, so I had to make the switch. And I spent most of my career working in the nonprofit space. I went to grad school in Massachusetts, that's what brought me to the state. I have a master's in business from HBS, Harvard Business School, and a master's in public policy from the Harvard Kennedy School of Government. But I really spent most of my career in the nonprofit world because of my values for equity. And now I believe I can make a greater positive impact by creating an ethical business model and do some of the things that I don't see other cannabis businesses in this state doing. So for example, I want to be the first cannabis business in Massachusetts to offer a labor peace agreement just out the gate. Offer living wages. I am a social equity program participant from the state's Cannabis Control Commission. And that program exists in part because Black Americans like myself have continued to be locked out of the legal industry. Midori's Garden would be the first Black woman-owned cultivation and manufacturing business in Massachusetts. At our last meeting on September 11th, I presented an odor mitigation plan, which involved like minimizing and masking the odor. We heard residents raise valid concerns about odor, so in response, the Selectboard decided to hire an independent odor consultant. However, the question remains, like, what is the acceptable odor level and how is the odor consultant going to measure it when I don't have any plants? I looked at some of the previous people that have come before the board to get approval. And it looked like they had existing plants or facilities either in state or out state that they could actually measure, and I don't have that. So I just wanted to get that clarity. But also, there were concerns raised about lighting, and we're very confident that it's not gonna be a problem. We don't have plans to use lights in the night, and there's already zoning bylaws, as far as I understand, that give pretty clear requirements about light pollution. So we don't think that's gonna be a problem. Also, the site which you were able to come visit today is very remote, and we have a lot of tree coverage, so it should not be visible from the butters as well. So quick update slide, the next slide, just to give you some follow-up from what happened since our last meeting. So as I kind of alluded to, I was left with numerous questions about how the due diligence process would actually work. I requested a meeting with the town managers, and they couldn't give me any more clarity since there's not an existing standard written anywhere, and we have to have public hearing conversations to move things along. So there wasn't really much from that. I went on to consult with various parties, including the CCC, the Massachusetts Department of Agriculture, since they regulate hemp, which is the same plant. The Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection, since they deal with air pollution and odor complaints when they're escalated from the town public health department. I contacted an odor consultant from TEP Engineering, and I also contacted 2 different odor mitigation technology manufacturers, one being the industry standard Bioscientific. Additionally, I've had opportunity to connect with some of our neighbors. It's been really heartening to like receive the support of the PDC, a couple residents from Brookside Manor and Windrush, and in this past weekend, VFW even had a Harvest Fest, like a cannabis event, that's our next door neighbor, so that was cool to see. So we don't really feel like, you know, we're like people are super alarmed or anything. But for the current status, as of today, I believe the town is still in the process of finding and selecting an independent odor consultant, which I mentioned the due diligence process and expectations around it remain unclear to me. So I believe that we need to continue again, probably skip the next meeting and go to the November 20th meeting to give it a little bit extra time, to conduct the necessary due diligence and ensure all the concerns are properly addressed. I do want to be clear, if you go to the next slide, that I'm seeking both a cultivation and manufacturing permit. I wanted to like, review what the manufacturing process like entails. I don't believe I'll have time to get through licensing through all the state process in time, to get things growing next grow season. And honestly, but upon further consideration, I think that's really okay, because that will give me time next year to, with the manufacturing permit, hopefully, purchase cannabis extract from other suppliers and still be able to make a tincture product and get it tested, packaged, and stored and ready for wholesale. And then hopefully in 2025, that's when we add the cultivation piece and then, you know, same process. And as I mentioned before, there's no odors. This is a small machine, just like in that picture. It's vacuum sealed, so there'll be no odors, and it will be within like a container will be the processing facility. So that's also, even if there were odors, it's very easy to contain this since it's in the container. All right, so I want to, so that I really want to drive home that detail, that cultivation and manufacturing permits, like I put them on the same permit because, you know, it made sense, it's one business, same site. But they are two distinct licenses from the state, and I have heard no concerns about the manufacturing. So I think that's me so far, it sounds good. We go to the next slide. So I wanted to like get some clarity around the approach to due diligence. My understanding is that the core purpose of due diligence is to break it down into two objectives. First, it serves as a mechanism to ensure that the odors emitted from cannabis cultivation is effectively mitigated. So, you know, it's not a nuisance for our surrounding community. Additionally, it's just the town's responsibility, like in a democracy, to like to conduct due diligence as expected by town residents, especially our abutters, because they are actually impacted. And we aim to demonstrate like, you know, our commitment in good faith to be responsible and transparent. So how do we meet these goals? Like currently the standard is undefined. I put together the best plan with all the information available to me, but there's no existing odor standard defining any laws or regulations I can reference. There's also the concern about the lack of measurable data. When I tried to look at, for example, again, they had data measured, so they had actual plants. So if there's no plants or odor emissions, how would that be quantified? Especially for my unique site and terrain as well. And then for the consultant expertise, so I went out to try to get consultants to give me, you know, their opinion on their guidance. And I found that the odor consultant industry typically for cannabis prefers elimination technology, like, you know, spraying stuff in the air, due to the ease of implementation across diverse cultivation sites. And the fact that they are typically consulted after people have tried minimizing masking and it has failed. So that's what they're going there to get that technology. I haven't found any consultants that can provide the service of evaluating, prescribing, like a minimization and masking approach like I'm doing, based on just a preliminary site plans like what I submitted. I did see consultants that conduct due diligence by measuring the volatile organic compounds, VOC, so the terpenes in the plants that you know, that are the fragrance. They can measure those, but it requires plants to measure. So I don't know what we're going to do, but I think that these challenges underline the importance of like clear guidance and expectations. So we're trying to, you know, meet the concerns and do this due diligence process, but I would appreciate, you know, some clarity and objectivity, so.
Yeah, let me give you some first of all, as far as the permit is concerned, if you would like the manufacturing to be separated from the cultivation, there should be two separate special permits filed.
Separate in which way?
So that we could approve, we
So
could.
you're not allowed to approve one and decline the other? or-
Not on the same special permit, you need to separate it.
Okay,
So
well,
we could do that, like, next, on the 20th, we could approve, if that's the board's wishes, the manufacturing. And then we could continue with the cultivation, which you knew would take longer.
okay, but do I have to go before every single board again? and
I
do
don't- I don't-
an outreach meeting?
Yeah, you probably do.
Okay, yes, I would prefer if you could just approve them both next.
Okay,
week.
so it's gonna take longer, that's the only thing.
Yeah,
The other part of this is, you have defined what our problem is. This is the special permit, it's not by right. So we have to have reasons to approve this. And you're coming up with something that isn't necessarily totally measurable. That's why it's not by right. So we need to do our due diligence and say to, and it's up to us to hire an odor expert that we're comfortable with. It's not up to you to find us one, and I appreciate you trying.
yeah.
I appreciate that, but, yeah, no, I appreciate that. And what we need to do is find an odor consultant who's gonna give us some clarity on this. We believe you, I'm not saying we don't, but we need to protect the neighbors too, and the community, so we need to find someone who can say, yeah, that plan makes sense. Because there is no measurable,
Do you think
way
that
to
the
guide
3
us.
weeks is enough time to find someone?
3 weeks, 4 weeks is enough time to come back to you and say, we found someone, they won't have an answer by then, you know that, and I know that. But at least if we could have found someone, the worst can happen on the 20th is that we continue it. You're not gonna get hurt by that.
So you don't have a sense of what will be measured or anything?
That we haven't hired the consultant yet. We're not experts in odor. One of the good things a good board does is know where we're not experts in, and find someone who is to give us some advice. And there was some confusion for a while that you maybe weren't going to continue with cultivation at the time. So
Well,
we
yeah, I
slowed
wanted
down
to
and looked for.
understand what, since it's at my expense, I wanted to understand it was truly like, what are we measuring? Cause I don't know what.
No,
Yeah,
I
that's
get
what
it.
I'm-
No,
I don't know.
no, I get it.
Yeah.
So that slowed us down a little bit too, because we didn't wanna go find an odor consultant and you say, let's back off
But
on.
definitely do, because
Okay, we will.
I don't know, what,
Yeah.
we need to find.
Yeah,
somebody.
we just need some help.
I did speak with someone at Porter Odor Science in Reading, Mass. He just emailed me back, actually, we had a conversation, he was gonna send me a proposal, I emailed him today again, just to check in on that, and so I'll have it to you by tomorrow, so.
So we'll work on this. We'll work on this. We'll do this as fast as we can, but we do have it. We have both a commitment to you and a commitment to the neighbors. And we want to protect everyone. So
And you did get the letter of support for the PDC?
we did,
All right.
we did, and we appreciate that.
Okay, and if you want any other letter of support, I can go bug my neighbors.
No, we do enough plugging, you
Okay,
don't.
okay.
Can I have just some clarification? So you don't plan on growing until the 2025?
Yeah, because I think it will take at least 6 months to go through the state approval process, and we have to put up the security fencing and the security system. There's a lot that has to be done after the municipal process, so yeah, it'll be impossible. I wouldn't bet anything on
All right,
it.
let me understand this then. So if it's not gonna be growing to 2025 and there's no way to measure it because there's no plants, then you won't have a consultant until 2025.
No, we'll have a consultant.
Well, he's saying he's gonna hire a consultant and maybe not measure anything. I don't know what that will look like and how that's fair. to
There's-
do.
How are we gonna know the smell if there aren't any plants?
When the consultant comes in, they'll be able to do it. We have the right consultant.
They can do that without.
There's other facilities throughout the state, throughout the country. And they can give us, their guidance.
But they're not gonna give us an exact because it's not.
It's not an exact science.
Well, I understand it's not an
Yeah.
exact science,
I
but.
mean, odor
this
is
gonna be a little
subjective.
different than someone else. Is obvious.
It's the only choice we have.
Well, West Stockbridge allowed them to get started in business and then they measured actual plants, so. they
Right,
measured
and then the
it.
neighbors came and complained and then.
And they're also.
And I'm not planning
100,000
to have the
square
neighbors
feet
come and
Open
complain.
air, so it's like, you came and saw the site, it's like super remote, you can't see.
Oh,
it.
no, I get all that, but I also, West Oxford
It's
is a
tenth-
terrible example
it's a
because
tenth
they're
of
now
the
the neighbors are
And
complaining.
it's a tenth of the size of that example.
Yeah. No, I get it. And So, I mean, Garfield, you'd rather us do something else, but I'm not.
No, it's not that, I just don't know how we're gonna measure the odor if we don't have the plants there. And somebody else's odor is gonna be different, and I don't know, their consultant, I don't know, could look at something possibly the same, but the area is gonna be different, maybe they're not blocked off like these people are, maybe they're more open, so there's gonna be differences. So I don't know if a consultant can tell if there's nothing for him.
Even additional
that
lighting in the growth space could increase the odor, and I don't know any other cannabis businesses trying to prioritize the environment so much that they're not using a bunch of light and a bunch of power. So it's hard to find a representative sample.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Yeah, I guess just generally the concern, and it's been stated multiple times, is just, you know, one of my concerns is just the density of the area that you're in, you know, and I am fully for small local farms and all that, but we do need to have a gauge of a well-certified odor control specialist, you know, and yeah, exactly like what Steve said, and you pointed out, it's a tightrope that we're trying to walk here, and there hasn't been that many standards. So I just wanted you to know that that's my main concern, is the density of the area that you chose to create a farm, and then also note that, you know, I'm very supportive of small farms, and it's you know, it's a serious pendulum swing every time I think of this, so.
One thing I do want to add, because I'm not sure if the public is aware, after the business is in existence, there's still the ability to go to the public health department with odor complaint. There's still the ability for that to escalate to the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection. And there's still the host community agreement and the fact that the special permit renews every year, 2 years. So it's not like once it's done, it's set and done, and there's no more mitigation opportunities as well. So I did want to mention that, but agree.
I was just gonna say, I like what you're doing down there, the other things that you'd like to do. If the order comes through, I'm feeling okay.
So just, you know, since we did the site visit, earlier today, and thank you for that, you know, one of the things I would be looking with the odor consultant was, you know, the placement of the hoop houses. So they might, in theory, say, you know, if you place it farther back or in this corner, you know, this would help mitigate the odors. And that would be one thing I'd be looking at in terms of the placement. And my question immediately as I was on the site is, why aren't you going further away?
Yeah, it's
from the
money,
main road?
it's money. It costs money to put the power line, since we have the solar installed right there,
Okay.
we can attach it to that. If we were to get into business, we could look into like making money and then moving things.
Yeah, so that would be something that, you know, maybe be proactive and say, well, if this came up, you know, this is what we might have to.
But it's
contend with,
really
but-
a cash flow thing, like.
Sure.
So yes.
Joseph Mackey, there are also wetlands on the, Windrush plot that if we move further back, even though it's on their property, there's a limited distance we can move back without moving into that buffer zone because it still crosses the property line.
Yeah, so they might come with things like that, or, you know, Upper Bremer. And also I would want to talk to other towns that are similar, you know, obviously we don't know until we know, but there could be other communities that they could do a comparative analysis. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think you understand that you come with a fairly challenging special permit, because there isn't a lot or any like this. And it's our job not to say, yeah, go ahead and do it, see how it turns out. It's our job to at least do our due diligence and make sure we think it's going to turn out positive for all of us.
Yeah, and I've really done everything. Like I care a lot about impact, like.
Yeah.
I know, I can tell you.
So yeah, like anything that I can do is just, I don't have a stand.
Yeah.
Like.
And we're also trying to protect
Yeah.
you. We don't want, you know, you to do all this work and then all of a sudden the neighbors complain and then we're back to square one and you have to put extra money into trying to, you know, mitigate that. So, you know, we're supportive. We just want to make sure we do it right.
Okay, do I have a motion to continue the public hearing to November 20th at 6 p.m. at Town Hall?
So moved.
Second.
Seconds, have a motion and a second. It's roll call for special permits. Ben.
Aye.
Garfield.
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and I. We'll see you then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, new business. Housatonic School, vote to sign the purchase and sale agreement and the development agreement. So, Chris, you want to just, I know we've seen it, and I think it's gonna be a fairly simple motion.
Yes, good evening. Tonight, in front of you is the development agreement and purchase and sale agreement for the redevelopment of the Housatonic School. So that's obviously pursuant to the RFP the board issued and, the special permit that you approved a couple of months ago. The development agreement is intended to reflect the special permit that was approved and the terms of the RFP and the developer accepted. The purchase and sale is in there, gives the developer time to get started. We need 45 days to closing. There was one typo in the, I believe it was the development agreement where it referenced 10 apartments. Actually 8. I asked the developer, hey, you're okay if we change that page? And he said, yes, of course, that would bring it in line with issue special permit. So, and we would update the effective date of the development agreement to be today. So I think right now it's written as September. So just two small changes, the dates and the pending state. But other than that, town manager and I think it reflects its board's wishes and the special permit issue, which was not appealed.
So do I have a motion to authorize the select board to sign the purchase and sale agreement and development agreement?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous.
It'll be in your folder.
Perfect.
Thank
It's a
you.
very exciting time. The Du Bois Sculpture Project, final design and vote to accept donation.
Pleasure to be here. I think Mark gave out some plans to you and that you had a chance to look at them, and you have a picture of the proposed sculpture and so
Excuse me, I don't know your name.
I'm sorry, my name is Julie Michaels. I'm co-chair of the WED Du Bois Sculpture Project. So, any questions? Do you need any more statements from you?
Does anyone have any questions before we vote?
Just one, are we pretty much locked into this? I mean, this is kind of how it is and, you know, in terms of the grass and the, so I mean, obviously there's gonna be fine, like.
Well, you know,
design, with architects and stuff, but this is.
as Mark and I
Yeah.
discussed, things happen
Yeah.
between a plan and the building, but I think we have always been fairly clear about having a pair of benches and having our sculpture seated on one of them. The rest of the restoration will be done in partnership with the town because the strictures of the Historic District Commission are such that they basically want to repeat what's there. So any other change, we don't anticipate changes in our piece of it, and it's pretty simple. We're wanting to make that a more welcoming communal space, and we of course want to have the sculpture that will lead people into the library where there will be some kinds of special exhibits that educate visitors and community members and children on the history of this great man.
So one of the questions, just so we're clear on this, the Historic District Commission has not approved this yet. You're
Yes, they
working.
have.
Okay, they're done. Okay, because, so my question, that's not what Fred told us the other day.
They did improve this.
Okay, because that's not, so the grass that I see on this, and it's a change that you made, and I'm glad you have, is going to be grass, where I see green.
Yeah, you know, when we first put out the plans, we put out two. We put out one that said, oh, it's gonna be grass, and one that said, well, we could also put out marble. Everyone had said, let's keep it grass, and we go, yes, let's keep it grass. We have, you know, I think there's been a mistake because this other plan option existed, that it was our proposal. It was not our proposal. It was, here are two options.
Yeah.
And we agree with you that grass would be there.
Okay, that's one, make sure we're clear. Any other questions?
Yeah, I guess just following that up, because like we've stated there, little back and forth, and I didn't see that meeting where the historic committee did it. So grass is there, the side ramps are still going, and then
The side ramps have never been an issue there.
yep, just so they are going in, and then
No, they're there. They're there. The side.
right, all right, yeah, so those are staying the way they are, and also the stairs are staying basically the way they are, but just being reset.
Right.
That is
Correct.
correct.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. That's all I was looking for. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Anyone else? Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Yeah.
In your motion, could you approve the final design and accept the gift?
Okay, motion to approve the final design and accept the gift.
So moved.
So I have a motion and I have a second. The only thing I would add, if there are, and I know this is a landmark, major changes for whatever reason, that you would come back to us before, just so we understand.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I know what's major to you may not be major to us or vice versa, but I'm
If
using
it's
that.
major to Joe, it's major to us.
Okay, perfect. We'll agree with you on that.
Okay,
Anyone else? All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous.
thank you.
Thank you. Citizen speak time.
Hi, I'm Donna Jacobs, 260 Park Street, and I'm absolutely ecstatic that the $250,000 just came through for distribution to the ratepayers of the Housatonic Waterworks. And I'm submitting my name as a volunteer to fill one of those 2 to 3 slots, and I've already sent you an email, Mark. So my information is there, and I'm eager to see how that is going to happen. And I think it's going to be great for the morale in the community, as is great for the morale. The other initiatives being taken, the meeting with the Board of Health is coming up, and you're meeting with your attorney and executive council. So we know people are busy, but we're still very, very worried that who's going to step up at the end of the day and take on this business, this public water system, and ensure that the people who are now concerned about their health can be assured that the water is safe. So thank you all very much.
Eileen.
This is the question I was going to ask earlier, but you went past Housatonic Waterworks. Are the selectmen going to ask any questions as interveners in the DPU rate case?
If appropriate, yes, and our attorney will be attending all the meetings or his representative. But yes,
Thanks.
you're welcome. Anyone else? What's that? Okay. Moving ahead here. Select board's time. Ben,
Nothing.
Garfield,
Nothing.
Eric,
Nothing, thank you.
Lee, and nothing for me. Media time. Seeing no hands raised, so unanimous consent. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.